Hi, Dr. Russ here. I have a chair. I hope you have a chair because we're going to do some stance work to stretch our calves, stretch the front of the hip, and wake up and engage our glutes, quads, and hamstrings. This is going to take about 10 minutes. I hope you do it with me, and I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. So let's start with bare feet on the floor, and you can have a chair next to you for support and for balance. That is 100% okay. And we're just going to start by mobilizing our hip, just like this. Lifting the knee and lowering it down. So just lifting and lowering, it doesn't have to be a big movement. Really the important thing is that we're isolating the movement to the ball and socket of the hip. So I'm not kind of curling forward and I'm not arching back. As my knee comes up, my lower back stays neutral. As my knee comes down, my lower back stays neutral. Chest is open, sternum and front ribs are lifted, and it's just a nice, easy warm-up. Flexion, extension, and then we're going to add a little rotation, like to open out. And I am definitely depending on my chair to balance, and I want to make sure that my stance leg hip doesn't poke out. So I'm using the side of the hip muscles to keep it in. So you can take a break anytime those muscles start to get tired, and you can see really most of the movement is confined right here to the hip joint. And we're going to change directions and circle inward. Just a few times, starting to wake up the muscles of our legs and get a little activity in there. And then we're going to do the other side. Again, lifting and lowering the knee. And there is definitely a tendency for me on my left side to curl my lower back a little bit, but I really want to commit to the ball and socket being what is moving. Kind of thinking about the ball staying nice and snug in that socket and not jiggling loose. And then even though the chair is here, I got plenty of room to do some circles here. Making sure this hip doesn't poke out, which would look like this. So I want these muscles to engage, and hold me upright. Once we've warmed up a little bit, we want to keep the chair nearby because we're going to do a little bit of lunging. A couple of keys to lunging. The front foot position is really super important. You want to make sure that you have equal weight between the front of the foot and the back of the foot. So the heel has about half the weight and the front of the foot has about half the weight. And in the front of the foot, it's equally distributed between the inner ball of the foot and the outer ball of the foot. There is an outer ball of the foot underneath the pinky toe. So we're going to start just by making sure that that weight is evenly distributed. You want the foot to be in front of the knee because that knee is going to go forward, and we really don't want the knee to push out over the toes. We want the knee to reach the toes but not really go any further. The back foot, we're going to change positions. We're going to have it with the heel up. We're going to have it with the heel down, which is going to stretch different muscles in the back leg. So let's start with heel down. You're going to want to commit to that back heel being down. You don't want your foot to be turned out. You want it to be turned in. It doesn't have to be all the way in, but it can be if you want. We're committing to equal weight on that front foot. And when a lot of people lunge, they're really kind of lunging forward and the knee goes all the way out over the toes. But instead of lunging forward, what we want to do is sink down. Now in this position with my heel committed to the floor, what's limiting my movement is the calf of my back leg. So you're getting a stretch on the calf of the back leg now. You're using your chair to help balance, and there's a lot of weight in this front leg hamstring and glute. If you really want to sit, it's really a lot about getting movement in this front leg hip. So if I try to go low without moving this hip, that's when my knee goes all the way forward. And already just after a few seconds, my back leg calf has loosened up a little bit. I hope yours has too. And we're going to sink down, and that's about as far as I'm going to go. It doesn't matter how far down you go. What matters is that you get a good stretch in the back leg and a good engagement of the front leg and really committing to the weight staying stable in the front foot. When you're ready to come out, use your hand to help you up and shake out your legs for a second. Okay, we're going to do the same thing now, but the back leg heel is up, and it's going to be a much different stretch on the back leg. It's going to give us a good stretch on the front of the thigh, and on the front leg it's pretty much the same. So that foot is in front of the knee. I'm committing to that weight being 50-50, front and back. You can see my back heel is up. This can be hard on this back hip. So use your chair or whatever you're using to support yourself as you gently and slowly sink your weight down. Not forward, down. And here you're going to get a nice stretch of that psoas and the hip flexor on the back leg. And again, the quads, the hamstring, and the glute of that front leg are really engaged, holding up whatever weight your hand isn't holding up. It's totally okay to even have two chairs if you need to while you do this. Holding it for 15 seconds if you can. It's not important how low down you go. What's important is that you feel a nice opening here and a nice engagement in the front leg. And again, the hand helps us as we come up. So now I'm going to turn around and we're going to see that from the other side. Now my right foot is forward. I'm committing to the weight halfway between the heel and the front of the foot. And in the front of the foot, it's 50-50, inner ball, outer ball. Back heel, your back heel is down. So that back leg doesn't have to be locked, but we want it to be pretty straight. Once we feel like our feet are standing properly, that's when we're going to start to sink down. And just right here, that's the stretch. Getting a nice stretch on the calf of your back leg and some nice engagement of the glute and hamstring on the front leg. If you want to make this more challenging, slide that front leg forward. Using your chair to balance, support whatever you need. Hold it here, making sure your low back's not gripped, certainly not gripping with your neck. Your neck and shoulders are relaxed. There's nothing for them to do here. And as always, making sure that stance leg is not poking out. You're going to use your hands to help you come up, shake it out. And now let's do back leg, heel up. So toes are curled under, stance leg foot in front of the knee, committing to the weight being stable on that front knee, and sink. You can see I have more range of motion in this range because my hip flexors are just more flexible than my calf. It might be different for you. Coming straight down, neck and shoulders relaxed, not leaning forward, not arching back, hips are in, giving yourself a nice stretch on that front leg and nice engagement of the quad and hamstring and glute on the front leg. Stretch on the front of the hip of the back leg. Just hold it for 15 or 20 seconds and then slowly come on up. After doing that, your whole lower body should feel more open, nice circulation and engagement through the quads, the core, the glutes, and a nice stretch through the calves. Thanks for watching.